also they want to know the future opportunities which are associated with the patents. So let me share my screen to start further. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is visible.
Where to hide this? I just want to hide this actually. Yeah. Okay. So I am Ankur Sharma, and I have done my master's in engineering, and I have also done my master's in intellectual property right. And in this field, I have nearly 12 plus years of experience. And in this experience, I have delivered many patent related services. And currently also, we are delivering the patent related services to our global clients. And before some time, I have co-founded this company. I am one of the co-founding team members of Capture Consulting Services. And we are currently delivering services related to intellectual property. Mainly, we are supporting our clients on innovation front and patent services front. So let's start today's session. And in this today's session, mainly we will be covering the intellectual property. What is intellectual property? What are the intellectual property rights? What is a patent? What is the patent life cycle? And what are the benefits of having a patent? Because you must have heard patents very often in the current scenario. It's being considered as a tool of recognition and many more. And yes, it is. So we will discuss the patents in details and what are the benefits of having a patent also, and then career opportunities in the field of patent services, in the fields of IPR, and what are the different services which are there in the market which we are also delivering to our clients. So let's first discuss the intellectual property. So as you can see the name intellectual property, there is a word intellectual in this. So intellectual means that is something which is related to intellect. So intellectual property can be referred as something which is created from the intellect or created from the human mind. So different examples we can discuss here as an examples of creations of human mind which are considered as intellectual property. So for example, writing of a story script, music composition, music lyrics, symbols, logos, and technical inventions. These are the creations of human mind, and these can be referred to as intellectual property. And for each intellectual property, each type of intellectual property, there are associated intellectual property rights. So for example, for technical inventions, patents are there. So technical inventions are protected by patents. In the same way, trademarks are there. So trademarks are also a type of intellectual property, and these are distinctive sign that identify certain goods or services from the others. So for example, McDonald's trademark, you must have seen a yellow M is there, and Volkswagen, you must have seen on the Volkswagen cars, V is there, V and W below that and circled. So, and in the same way, there are multiples of trademarks. Apple logo is there. This is also a trademark. So by just seeing that logo, just seeing that trademark, we can clearly understand that this particular service or this particular goods belongs to this company. So this is the objective of trademark. And the trademarks are protected because nobody else can misuse the trademark. So if the trademark is protected by McDonald's, the yellow made M made of yellow, color, that should not be used by someone else, because someone else may be using the trademark or maybe selling their own products, but may not be of the same quality. So the trademarks are also protected. And in the same way, industrial designs are there. Industrial designs refers to the aesthetic aspects of an article. So these are also protected. And geographical indication. Geographical indication is a sign which is used on the goods. And the goods are those goods who have any specific geographical origin and possess qualities of that specific origin, or carries a specific reputation due to that place of origin. So for example, you must have heard the Banarsi sari. Okay, so Banarsi sari is a sari which carries a reputation of that place of origin. So that's why these are also protected. Fine. So these are some of the examples of intellectual property. Few more examples are copyrights, and I think we must have heard about copyrights many times. Copyrights are the intellectual property rights which is for the literary or artistic works. So for example, if you have music composition, scripts, lyrics, these are protected by the copyright. Photographs, drawings, these are protected by the copyright. In the same way, if a performer is performing on the stage, broadcasters also have the same rights, and these rights are known as related rights. Film producers also have rights, their own rights. These all come in the category of related rights. The another type of intellectual property is trade secret. So trade secret is the hidden copyright. Actually, you must have heard trade secret again many of the times. Trade secrets actually secrets which are the sensitive information for a company and having a specific value to the business. For example, Coca-Cola recipe is a very, very specific example. Coca-Cola recipe is a sensitive information for the company so that nobody else can copy it. And this adds a significant value to their business. So this is an example of trademark. So Coca-Cola has trademarked their recipe, and generally trademarks are not disclosed because these are secret. And this also comes in the category of intellectual property rights. So these are the few examples of intellectual property rights. Now let us come to our main focus of today's session, which are patents. So patents, we must have heard patents very frequently nowadays. Now let's try to understand what actually the definition of a patent, or what is the significance of having a patent. So patent is a type of intellectual property right, and this is an exclusive right which stops or prevent others from commercially exploiting the patented invention. In other words, it can be understood as patented invention cannot be commercially made or used or distributed or sold or imported by anybody else without the patent owner's consent. So if somebody is having a patent, nobody else can use that patent. If somebody wants to use that patent in his product, for example, he has to take permission from the patent owner that I want to, I am a product manufacturer and I want to use your patented invention in my product. So can I use that invention? And the product manufacturer has to take license from the patent owner. And if the license has been granted, then only the product manufacturer will be able to use the patented invention. So this is the way. So if anybody wants to use the patented invention, he has to first take the permission of the patent owner. In simple words, this can be, in this way, the definition of patent, or how the patent system is being, used or is being utilized. This can be understood with this example. The another thing is patents are territorial rights. That means the patent rights are bound by the jurisdiction or bound by the geographies. So for example, if you have a patent in India, then this patent cannot be applicable in US because you have an Indian patent only. So the exclusive rights is applicable only in India. Or for example, if you want to have a patent, or you want to enjoy the exclusive rights of a patent in 3 different countries, US, India, and Japan. In that case, you need to have a granted patent in India, US, and Japan. Then only you will be having the exclusive patenting rights in these 3 jurisdictions. Further, the protection of a patent is granted for a limited period. It's only for 20 years from the date of application filing. So if somebody has filed a patent application today, for next 20 years, he will be, enjoying the patenting rights. After that, the patent is freely available to be used by anyone. And the last point, which is very important to understand, that many of us are from educational background. Many of us are faculty members. Many of us are research scholars. Many of us are students, and we are also involved in publication our research work in many forums. So this is again, I refocus on this point, that this is very important to understand, that if you are willing or if you are planning to file a patent on your invention, then do not disclose it to anyone. Do not disclose it to any public forum, because in that case, your own disclosure may act as a prior art, may act as an existing knowledge for your own patent filing, and in that case your patent application may not be granted. So let me explain it again in more simple words. There are few conditions of patentability, and those all conditions of patentability should be met. In that case only patent will be granted. One of those patentability conditions is your proposed invention should be novel. Your proposed invention should be new. If your proposed invention should be new, then only patent will be granted. Okay. If your patent application are meeting some other conditions also. Now, what is the meaning of having a new element in your proposed invention, or what is the meaning of considering an invention being novel? So how do we determine that a proposed invention is new or not? This is determined based on the existing knowledge. If the same invention, if the same thing is there in the existing knowledge, which is same as your proposed invention, then your proposed invention is not considered as novel and patent may not be granted. Now consider this particular situation. You have disclosed your invention publicly. Okay, now your disclosure, your proposed invention is there in the public. When you are going to file a patent after some time, your own disclosure will become the prior art for your own filing, for your own patent application, and your patent application may not be granted because of your own disclosure of your invention. Okay. However, there are a few exceptions in few countries, including India. So a grace period is allowed, which lies between 6 to 12 months for the applicants who already disclosed their invention. So they can file a patent within 6 to 12 months within this grace period if they have already disclosed their invention. However, there are certain conditions associated with this exception. So it is highly recommended, if you are planning to file a patent, first file a patent and then disclose it. That's fine. That's fine. But do file a patent first. Okay. So I think few participants have raised hand. So Ayush sir, can you help me how to respond to those people who have raised their hands? Okay, so let me continue. In question answer session, we will I will try to answer all the questions. So now let's move to the conditions of patentability. So as we just discussed, there are few conditions of patentability, and the first condition is novelty. So just to reiterate the same thing, if the proposed, if in the existing knowledge there is no disclosure, there is no discussion about the proposed invention, then the proposed invention is considered to be novel and the patent may be granted in that case. And the existing knowledge is known as prior art in the language of IPR. The second condition of patentability is the proposed invention should be non-obvious, or it is also said that the proposed invention should be having an inventive step. Now, what does it mean? A proposed invention is called to be non-obvious in a scenario where, in light of the existing art, the invention should not be obvious. Okay, so consider a person who is having an ordinary skill in the technical field in which the proposed invention is there, and there are prior arts also, there are existing knowledge also. Then in light of the existing knowledge, or just by combining the few references, if the invention, proposed invention, becomes very obvious to the ordinary person who is ordinary skilled in the art, then the invention is said to be non-obvious. The invention is said to be obvious, and in that case, patent may not be granted. Okay, this is bit complex, and may take some more time because of the restriction of time. We will not discuss this thing in detail. We may have another session if required to discuss what is the way of determining non-obviousness, or the invention having an inventive step. But as of now, we can understand that the proposed invention should not be obvious in light of the existing knowledge. Then the patent may be granted if it is non-obvious. Also, the proposed invention should have industrial applicability or having any specific business purpose. It should not be just a theoretical phenomena or just an abstract idea that I have this idea, so this cannot be patented. It should have some kind of applicability in the industry or having some business purpose. The next point is subject matter. So subject matter means, the subject matter in which you are trying to file a patent, or you are trying to get a patent, should be patentable. By saying this, let's first try to understand. There are some subject matters like scientific theories, mathematical methods, mathematical formula, computer programs, algorithms, discovery. All these things are not patentable. Okay, so if you discovered a chemical element, this is not patentable. Okay, but if you are combining the different chemical elements and you are developing or you are creating a new chemical element which can be used maybe, for example, in a drug preparation, then that that element can be protected, which is the outcome of combining different chemical elements. The resulting element can be patented. Okay, but the individual natural substances or discovery of those natural substances are not patented. So the subject matter should also be patentable under the respective law. And the last thing is enablement. So enablement means your proposed invention in the patent document should be sufficiently clearly disclosed. It should be written in such a way that if somebody wants to read the patent, then he may be able to understand the patent, what is the invention, how the invention can be implemented if I want to implement it. So that should be sufficiently disclosed. This is known as the enablement. This is the another criteria of having a patent. Now let me share exactly how patent looks like. So this is a patent document. I have downloaded this patent document, random patent document from the Google. And you can see that this patent document contains few elements. So let me be clear on one front that the patent document is not a very plain document. It's a document which is written in the specific format. It is considered as a techno-legal document, and it has a specific format. Like you can see that here United States patent is written. That means this is a patent which is enforced in the United States. Here you can see the patent number US 8893277. So this number indicates that this is a US patent, and this is the date of patent. That means this is the grant date. This is date on which the patent has been granted, and this is the title of a patent. These are the inventors of the patent. So inventors of the patent are those who have contributed in the invention. And after that, assignee is there. So assignee is the one to whom the patent has been assigned. That means the assignee has the legal rights on the patents. So here we can see that there are two different entities. One is inventors and other one is assignee. So in this example, you can see that inventors and assignee are different. Inventors are Gregory and Michel, and the assignee is Quantum Corporation. Okay. In few cases, the inventors and assignee may be same. So for example, if I go to file a patent and the patent is granted, in that case, I will be the inventor and I will be the assignee. However, in this particular example, the inventors are those who have invented the invention which is protected in this patent, and assignee may be the company of those inventors, or yes, the company of those inventors. So this is the assignee. So let us consider a scenario in which there are students or there are professors, faculty members who have invented something. So if they file a patent on their own, so they will become the inventors and they will also become the assignee of the patent. However, if they file a patent and college fund those patent, and college has agreement in the college has agreement with the college professors, college faculty members, and the college students in such a way that their intellectual property also belongs to the college. In that case, assignee will be the college. So inventors will be those who have invented the proposed invention, and assignee will be the one who actually has the legal rights of that patent. After that, you can see that there is a field called abstract. In this abstract, the abstract of your invention is written. Okay. In the left hand side, you can say that there are something which is written in the in the numerals and in alphabets also, like G06F 11/00 and so on. These are the classification system, and every patent is classified in few classifications which defines their technology background. Okay. And then we have, figures and diagrams. So if your invention is properly understood with the help of figures, so it is good that you also design the figures and include it in your patent document. So these are the figures with the help of which the patent applicant or the inventors have tried their best to make their inventions understandable. And after that, the technical background is there. In the technical background, you have to write the technical background of your patent and of the proposed invention. And after that, brief description of the drawings. This is also an important, part of the patent. Whatever figures you are citing, the brief description of every figure, what that figure is talking about. You have to write the description of the respective figures in this section. And you have to write the detailed description of the invention, in which you have to write how your invention works in a practical situation, in a practical scenario, or how exactly your invention, can be reduced into practice. So this section, in addition to the figures, describes all those, particular things, and ensures that your proposed invention in this patent is properly enabled. We have seen that the last condition of patentability is enablement. So all these section ensures that the proposed invention in this patent is sufficiently enabled, and if anybody will read these text with the help of the figures, the invention is sufficiently understandable. And in the last of this document, the most important part is there, which are known as claims. Let me zoom it a bit more. You can see that it is there what is claimed is. You can see that I have highlighted it, what is claimed is. So these are known as claims. So you can see that this starts from number 1, and after that there are claims on the left hand side, claim 1, 2, 3, 4, and this document has total number of 17 claims. Okay, these claims are the most important element of the patent document. We have just discussed that patents are used to protect the proposed invention, right? Now, what the proposed invention and where it is written? The proposed invention is written in the form of claims. Okay. Now imagine a situation that you have an invention, you have filed a patent application on that invention. In detailed description somewhere, you have written a very important element of your invention, but you forgot to write that important element of your invention in the claims. Okay. you forgot to write that important element of your invention in the claim. However, you have write that important element somewhere in the description in the patent document. But because that element is not written in the claims, that element will not be covered by your patent. So these claims are actually defined, are actually, used to define the scope of protection, the scope of technical invention which you are willing to protect. Okay, so whatever you are trying to protect, whatever you think that this technical aspect of my invention should be protected, those elements should be a part of the claims. Okay, so this is the importance of claims. So whatever you are writing in the claims, this defines the scope of protection of your patent. Fine. Now let's move on to the patent life cycle. So what are the different phases of a patent? So it starts first of all from the invention conception. So you first have an innovative idea, you first have an invention or some research and development work or anything which you think that it should be patented. So first of all, you conceive the invention. And generally at this stage, patentability of the invention is checked if you want to file a patent. And in the patentability conditions, majorly a prior art search is performed. The prior art search ensures that whatever your proposed invention is, whether the same or similar thing is also existing in the prior art means existing knowledge. If the same or similar thing is existing already in the existing knowledge, then your proposed invention, may not be granted, may not be considered as a patent. And in that case, you need to rethink on your invention. So the prior art search is generally performed at this invention conception. And if you are sufficiently confident that your invention, is good to go, your invention meets the patentability criteria, then you go for the next step, which is the patent drafting. You just have seen the patent document as an example. The patent document is not a simple document, and there is a specific format which is defined by the patent office, like how the figures are, figures should be drawn, what is the format of, writing the claims. And the claim drafting is itself, is a professional thing. I mean, it's not a simple thing. The whole claim should be written in a single sentence and so on. Multiple things are there. So professional assistance may be required at this stage of patent drafting. Okay, patent drafting means whatever your invention is, you are putting your invention, the proposed invention, in the format of a patent document, like we have just seen. Okay. Once the patent is drafted, you go for patent filing. The patent application is filed in the respective patent office. And after 18 months of the patent filing, patent application gets published. Fine. However, if you pay an additional fees to the government office, it does not take 18 months. It gets published before 18 months. After publication, the patent application is examined by the patent examiner in the patent office. Okay. And patent examination is a very, very crucial step in granting the patent, because in the patent examination, various things of the patent is checked, including the patentability. Okay. So a patent examiner checks whether, what about the existing literature, what about the prior art, if there is anything which is already there in the art and very analogous to your invention, or examiner may find that already there is a prior art which talks about the same thing as the proposed invention. In that case, examiner raises a temporary rejection, which is known as non-final rejection, and examiner writes to the patent applicant that I found this reference where I can see that similar things are discussed as your proposed invention. What's your take on this? Please respond to me by this date. So by that date, you have to respond. I mean, patent applicant has to respond to the examiner that this is my opinion on your prior art. And if patent examiner agrees with the applicant, then patent is granted. Or sometimes, patent applicant becomes the at the same page with the examiner that, yes, I agree with you, Mr. Examiner. I can see that already existing art is there. which also discloses the same thing as my proposed invention. In that case, applicant has a provision that he can, change his claims a bit up to some extent. And based on that change of claims, the patent may be granted if found suitable by the patent examiner. Okay. And in that case, patent is granted. And after the grant of a patent, the patent owner or patent applicant has to pay a renewal fees periodically as a maintenance fees to the patent office. Now, the important aspect, which is very important to understand, is there is a phase in the patent life cycle called patent application publication. In this phase, whatever you have filed gets published. After that, patent examination is done and patent grant is there. So between patent application publication and patent grant, patent examination is there. Okay. And patent examination decides many things. Your patent application may get published, but in the examination, it may not found be suitable and your patent may be rejected. There may be another scenario. Your patent application get published, but in the examination, you may have to amend your claims and the patent is granted. In that case, the claims present in the granted patent may be different from the claims presented in the patent application publication. Fine. When we say that this is a patent or I have a patent or the patent has a legal right to exclude others from using the patented invention, we talk about the granted patent. We do not talk about the patent application publication. We talk about the granted patent. So whenever there is a patent in the picture, whenever anyone says that I have a patent or you have patent rights or what about patent rights, they actually are talking about the granted patent. This one, last but one phase, granted patent. Okay. Patent application publication is just the publication, whatever you have filed, and it does not hold any legal value. This patent grant has legal, weightage when you talk about that I have patent rights and I can stop others from exploiting my invention without my permission. This is the granted patent. Fine. Now, from the perspective of the people among you who may be aspiring to build their career in the field of IPR, let's discuss this whole patent life cycle again. In the invention conception phase, we have discussed that prior art search is performed. Now, who performed that prior art search? Majority of the clients, wants that their prior art searching is performed with the help of professionals. So in the market, professionals are required who can, perform the prior art analysis for their clients. And these professionals should have the knowledge of patents. Also, they should have the knowledge in the relevant subject matter, because then only they will be able to understand what the invention is and what is there in the existing art. So engineers, masters, doctorate, who are experts in their relevant fields are generally considered for this particular type of profile, because they will be able to understand the technology of their respective domains and the patenting knowledge. Okay. So generally patent knowledge is being provided in the company where they joined. Where they join. So as a part of their on-job training, but subject matter expertise is something which we gain with the help of our experience of our qualification, etc. So the first job profile is the prior art analysis, which is there in the market. The second is patent drafting. So patent drafting is again a one thing where professional assistance is required by the clients. And in the market, again, many companies, or almost every company, at least many companies, are there in the market who support their clients in drafting the patent. Okay. And again, in patent drafting, along with the legal stuff of the patent, the subject matter expertise is required. Then only you will be able to draft a patent, because this requires technical knowledge also. Subject matter expertise again play, a very important role in the patent drafting. After that, patent filing. So government, conduct a kind of a test. After that, they issue a certificate of patent agent. And this is very highly respected in the domain of IPR. So once somebody clears that patent agent exam, he becomes a patent agent and he will be eligible to file a patent in the patent office on behalf of his or her client. So this is again a kind of job profile which is required in the market. And examination is there, which is done in the patent office. So government patent offices also requires patent examiners. And again, subject matter expertise is required for patent examination, because along with the legal knowledge, the patent examiner should have the sufficient knowledge of technology. Then only he will be able to understand what is there in the existing art, what is there in the discussion of the proposed invention. So these are kind of job profiles in the market, which I tried to relate with the help of patent life cycle. However, there are many other job profiles which is related to patents in the market, okay, which we are going to discuss in the subsequent slides. Now, suppose you got a patent. Now, what are the benefits of having a patent? So in the previous slide, we have seen that we first conceive the invention. After that, we take the professional assistance on patent drafting. So we paid a fees to them. It's an expense. After that, I filed a patent. Again, it's an expense. I waited for 18 months. I invested my time also. Then the patent is granted. After that, I am paying fees to the government office for patent maintenance. So it's a huge investment in terms of money and in terms of time. I have a patent now. What can I do with the help of a patent? So the very first thing, which is very obvious also, if you have a patent, you become the inventor of a patent. In that case, you gain a kind of recognition which differentiates you from others. Okay, it increases the reputation and credibility of you, and the institutions as well. Is if the institution is the applicant, or if the institution is an assignee of the patent. Okay, so patent brings the recognition to you. Secondly, if you have a patent on a technical invention, you are sure that nobody else can use my invention because it is protected by you. So nobody else can use your patented invention. That means you have your own rights on your own research, on your own technical idea, on your own technical invention. So this is the second advantage of the patent. The third thing is you can build a business around your invention without any tension, because if you have a patent now, you do not have any tension of whether your product is being copied by someone, or somebody else may steal your idea and can incorporate your idea into their own products. That is not a case, because you have already taken a patent on your proposed invention. Also, you can raise capital for your business if you have your own business, because investors are they feel more confidence if you have a patents for some kind of technology, because they think that you are doing something which is not there in the art, because you have already patents. So you are doing something new. At the same time, this is protected. Nobody else can copy whatever you have patented. So they feel more confident, and they have more tendency, if you have patents, they have more tendency to invest in your business. Okay. And if you have a patent, you can market your products and services in the market freely, because you can say that this is the product which I am selling, and this is a patented product. That means this is the product which I can only sell because this is a patented product. And this is something new, having some specific benefits, because this is a patented one. And that means it was not there in the existing literature or in the existing art. So you can, market your products or services in this way. And the last one, but the most important thing is, you can monetize your patent. Even if you are not doing any business, even if you are not raising the capital for your business, you are not making any products or services on your patents, still you can make money from your patents. Like any other property, you can sell your patent. Okay, you can sell your patent to the interested party and get money in lieu of selling your patent. Or if you do not want to sell your patent, you can get your patent licensed by the interested parties. So in exchange of that license, you will get money. So in this way, you can get money for your patents. Okay, so these are some of the benefits which we can think at this time, but there are many other benefits also in the different context in the respective scenarios. Now, let's discuss the career opportunities in the IPR. This is more relevant for the students or more relevant for the guys who are, planning to build their career, especially in the field of IPR in future. So there are few companies who are in the development of product or who are in the development of technology. And the few examples of those companies are like Microsoft, Nokia, Qualcomm, Jio, Samsung, Honeywell, Wipro. So these are the companies, who have their in-house IP. That means within their company, they have their own IPR division. At the same time, they outsource their work to the company who provides services to them. Okay. Below, you can see some of the, some names of the other companies like Maxwell, Clarivate, InnoCapture, us, Clairvoyant, Sagacious IP, Kuran & Kuran, Anand, many more other companies who are providing the IP services to their respective clients. And these are very few names who are there in the market, because I did not want to put many names in the slide and I did not want to fill many slides with the names of these companies. I just put very few names just to give you the snapshot of the market, which are the companies in the market. But as I mentioned, there are many more companies in the market providing IPR services to their clients, or even the clients themselves have their in-house IPR division. So there are a lot of market requirements, in the field of IPR. Now the next question is, sorry, before going to the next thing, in addition to these companies, there are some other sources, where these sources are actually freelancing sources, where anybody, can register themselves to these sources, freelancing sources, and can perform few projects on patents, and they will get money when the project is done and the project, is found suitable by the freelancing sources. Okay, so I have named few of these sources like AOP Connect, Patrol, Petexia. These are few examples. If you go to these sources, you can see that there are patent projects which you can pick up. You submit those projects and get the money. Okay, so these are not the actual employment relationship, but this can be taken, or this can be considered as your part-time job. Obviously, if somebody else, if someone of you has a specific kind of obligation with your employer and that obligation allows you to do so, then only you should do so. But the students, at least students or anyone who does not have any obligation with their employer, and they are free to contribute in some kind in these kind of freelancing sources, they can definitely do that. Okay, now the next thing is how we can help you to develop those patented skills, or if somebody wants to be a part of these freelancing services, who wants to contribute their services for these freelancing sources, or who wants to get ready for these companies, then we have few services which can help them. We have trainings and workshops to train them. We provide certifications for and these certification programs are based on the different requirement of the attendees, and we have some standard certification programs as well. We also provide internship programs which may be relevant for third year and fourth year students majorly, and these internship programs are helpful for those who actually wants to perform some hands-on on the live projects. So we provide that opportunity to our interns. So this is how we can help the career aspirants in the field of IPR. And for the organizations, we have services, and we have categorized these services mainly into two sections. One is innovation support services, and the other one is patent support services. And in innovation support services, we provide IPR sessions for those who wants to gain knowledge in patents mainly. And these sessions actually help the audience to think from the perspective of IP. If they are already aware of what are the conditions of patentability, they can fine tune their inventions in such a way that the success criteria of having a patent on the proposed invention will be high. In that case, the possibility of success will be high. And we also provide inventors training, where we guide the inventors, how to think inventions, how to draft your inventions. And in that case, again, the outcome or the target outcome of these trainings are to train inventors in such a way that the success possibility of having a patent will be high. We also conduct idea harvesting workshops. We provide internship, as we discussed just now. And we also provide the organizations and institutions, many colleges, our innovation services, so that we can enable their IICs or IPR cells. And we also provide the patent support services in the right-hand side, where we, sometimes we receive the thousands of ideas from the organizations. They say that we have received these thousands of ideas from our employees, or from some other sources. We want you to screen that idea. So we screen those ideas based on our knowledge. And after that screening, we send a few ideas back to the client, that these are the ideas which we have screened based on our knowledge. And now it's up to you, based which ideas you want to go ahead for patents. We also perform prior art searching, and we also prepare the patent document. We also draft patents. We also design the patent drawings. We also provide the patent filing assistance, and we also provide, patent licensing support, where we help you in monetizing your patent. So this is the basic snapshot of our services. And if you want to more details of our services, you can go to our website and you can get, some more details about the same. And this is all about today's session. And in the end, I would like to mention one thing, that when we think or talk about the patent, we feel that, oh, this is a very big thing. How can I get it? It's not like that. It's not about inventing something very big. It's about finding the right solution. It may be a small solution, but finding the right solution, finding the unique solution, which helps in solving the big problems. That's it. You can get a patent. So this is all about today's session. And now, we are open to any questions if you have.
Ayush, take some questions,
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so before any question comes, there is one question that I wanted to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Sir, see, a lot of students here are not aware that even if, let us say, for example, they have a prototype, which tomorrow can become an actual product.
Yes.
So how important is to, get the IPR or the trademark and the patent done at the level of prototype only?
So the first thing is, prototype may have two things. One thing is the method with the help of which you have designed the patent. And the another thing is the design of that prototype. So you can protect both the things separately, because there are three types of patent: utility patent, design patent, and plant patent. So, but in whatever way, so for example, you have developed a prototype that may be a prototype of any electronic design, for example. So it is very important to protect that prototype. I mean, to protect that invention. The only thing is, you have to check whatever you are going to protect, or whatever you are going to file a patent on, that should be meeting the patentability conditions. What those patentability conditions are? The very first thing, it should be novel, it should be non-obvious, and the subject matter should be patentable. And if you have developed a prototype, I think the subject matter should be patentable. Industrial applicability, yes, I think it's already checked, because you have developed a prototype that should be having any specific purpose for industry or for business. So the only thing is, it should be novel. If it is novel, if it is not already known, you can file a patent. So this is important. So the first thing is whether you can file a patent based on that prototype. Yes, you can file a patent based on that prototype. Only thing is, you have to present your prototype in the format of a patent, in the prescribed format of a patent. Then you may get a patent. The second thing is how you can get a patent. You can get a patent if the elements of the proposed invention is novel. If the elements of the proposed invention is non-obvious, then you may get a patent. Is this fine, or should I explain it more?
No, sir, I got it. One more thing, sir, I wanted to ask you is, that is there, like for example, let us say a lot of institutions are using our acronym, which is like MIT.
Yeah.
So, like there are various institutions who use our acronym and kind of take away our business by projecting that they are MIT.
Yeah.
So, can it like are they suable? One, can we sue them? Secondly, is it important to also have a patent for the acronym as well, that nobody else can use that acronym?
Yes. So generally, these acronyms or anything with the help of which you want to distinguish yourself from others, these are not patented. These falls under the category of trademarks. Okay. For patent, you should have a technical invention. That's it. So if you are talking about something which distinguish yourself from others, or which you want that nobody else can use it, in that case you need to go for trademark. You need to file a trademark on your college name, or maybe the representation of your college name, and then it will be protected. In that case, nobody else can use it. So you have to file a trademark which represents your college, and then it cannot be used by anyone else. If somebody is using, then you can sue that entity.
But currently, we cannot sue anybody if they are using MIT, right?
Currently, probably you cannot sue, because MIT is suppose Meerut Institute of Technology, and there can be some other.
Moradabad Institute of Technology or Modinagar Institute of Technology.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes. So if you will be, I mean, they have their own reasons to use
hmm.
MIT name, but because it is not yet legally protected by you, if it is protected by you, then you can stop others from using your name. Otherwise, they can use.
Ayush, there are some questions in Q&A. If you can read it out to
Yes,
sir.
sir. So the very first question is, can you please clear this out, that is it 20 years or 10 years for a patent to be applicable?
So for utility patent, it is 20 years from the date of filing. So for example, if I file a patent on 24th of January 2021, that is today I filed a patent, then after 20 years, that means it should be, I think, 23rd of January 2041, yes. I mean, after 20 years, then it will become the public, it will become free to be used by anyone. So for 20 years, I have protection for my patent, for utility patents.
Okay. The next question is, sir, the vaccine which is currently being used had been patented by the respective team of scientists of the institute.
It should be protected. So they, I am not sure whether they have filed or not, because it's the individual's choice whether they want to file a patent on their own research or not. It's the individual's choice. I am not sure whether they have already filed or not, but it should be there. So many of the pharma companies generally, file patents on their own formula of the drugs.
Yeah. Next question is there any medium through which the patent rights are susceptible to a single person for economical benefits?
Can I have this question more elaborated? I did not get the questions correctly.
Is there any medium through which the patent rights are susceptible to a single person for economical benefits?
If I correctly understand the question, so if you have a patent, for example, okay, and you do not, so there are two things. Either you are developing your own products and you are stopping others from using that. Fine. So in that case, you are getting economical benefits because you are developing your own products with the help of your invention. The second case is you are not practicing your patent, but you are granting license, or you are granting license to many of the entities. In that case, you being being a patent owner are getting economical benefits of the same. So yes, you are right. If there is one person having some good value, having good patents, and the value of those patents are very high, so that single person can gain very, very huge economical benefits out of those patents. I am not sure whether I have rightly understand your question. Is there any further question you can please ask?
So one more question is there. Can a collaboration be patented?
What does mean by collaboration? If the collaboration is a technical invention, so for example, if a technical invention is developed by 4 inventors, then it should be patented, and the inventor's name will be there. I mean, those 4 inventors will be there in the name of inventors. So if the collaboration, I'm not sure what is the meaning of collaboration in this particular question, but if the collaboration indicates that a technical invention is developed or a technical invention is thought in collaboration with multiple researchers or in collaboration with multiple inventors, then yes, the patent may be patented, and those contributors, those inventors will be named as inventors of that patent.
Okay. Akshit is asking about the collaboration of Oxford Serum Institute vaccine.
Yes, I think I have already answered that if there are multiple entities involved, in development of a particular vaccine, for example, there are multiple inventors are involved, multiple researchers or multiple scientists are involved in development of a particular invention, maybe the vaccine, then in that case, the patent can be done, and the inventors who are involved in development of that vaccine can be named as inventor of that patent. And just to answer Simran, I think Simran is asking that rather than using it by other organizations, Simran, can you please type your questions again, a question again as a whole question? I am not getting it properly, actually. I'm not able to understand your question.
And one question is in chat box. So someone is asking, is it renewable?
Yes, patent actually is not renewable. After 20 years, it cannot be renewed, but you have to pay the maintenance fees. So if you do not pay the maintenance fees, it is lapsed, it is abandoned after some time. So patent renewal fees is important to pay, but after 20 years, it's not renewable. If 20 years is done, then patent is over. I mean, patent rights are over, and anybody can use that patent. It's free to be used by anyone.
Or he has to apply once again for the same patent?
No. Even he cannot apply the patent for the same invention.
Okay.
He has to apply patent for some different invention.
Okay.
Sir, a little, I'm digressing from the topic.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you one. I'm a writer myself, sir. So I wanted to know, for example, I write something and I go, let us say, to the blog or a certain place where I publish those articles,
yes,
or my stories.
Yeah.
So, sir, can it be copied, or you would suggest that I should first get it, like copyrighted and then kind of put it on net? Or, for example, if it is, put on my blog, if it is copied, I can sue them. What is the way? It's very confusing, sir, when it comes to writing.
Actually, for copyright, yes, this is a bit confusing. And one thing I can do, I can connect you to the copyright expert in my team, because I have major experience in patents. So I may not be the right person to provide the exact answer on that question. But for copyright, actually, when you write something, at the same time, it becomes the copyright of yourself. Okay, but there is a provision that you can register yourself. I mean, that particular content which you are writing, for that content can be registered as your copyright, and then it is safe.
But sir, if somebody lifts, let us say, material out of my writing, and which is on my blog, like the dates will be different, sir. So can that person be sued? Is actually what I want to know.
Can you please repeat your question once more?
So, for example, that I have some material on my blog which belongs to me.
Okay.
And it was posted on a certain date. Let us say 16th October 2010 or 11.
Okay.
Now somebody in 2020 copies it.
Yes.
So can I sue that person, or like it is like, because it's on internet, so it is free for all?
No. If it is in internet, it's not free for all. You must have seen many pictures in the internet where copyright C under the circle is there. Okay, so if it is internet, it is not free for all. Patents are also there on the internet. On Google, you just write that you want a patent on this. You can get multiple patents, but you can read those patents. You can read those patents, but you are not free to use those patents. So if you have written something on internet, anybody can read it, anybody can understand that, but nobody is eligible, or nobody is free to legally use your content. If it is on internet, then also he has to take your permission before using it.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. It's very, very, very enlightening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ayush, any more questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
All the questions are finished.
Sir, Ankush sir, as the topic itself is very important.
Yeah.
Considering, my congratulations that I've been told that you are an alumni of MIET.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
it's a matter of great pride for us that that you have reached such heights, and it inspires us and motivates us, and I'm sure will inspire and motivate a lot of attendees also, that somebody from MIT today has reached such heights. So my congratulations to you, sir, for that. Also, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because sir, this topic is so relevant, because when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat and people
Yeah.
going for entrepreneurship and innovation, and they are not aware that how important is the role which today you have kind of explained, that
Right.
getting the right patent, getting the trademark, getting the logo registered, getting their material registered, because a lot of students in innocence kind of share, as you mentioned, share those things before getting it done, and it finally gets copied by somebody else.
Right.
So
Right.
so it was a very apt and very, very important.
Yeah.
But as I said, sir, if time permits and you have time in future, if you can just take one webinar on the steps of for a student, on how to go step by step and get a patent, because a lot of students don't know about the entire procedure,
Yes. Yes. I
that
understand.
okay, which website to go, what is the way to do it, how much money will it require, what is the right way. So if you can spare some time and guide our students to also understand the process of it, the entire process, so we'll be highly obliged, sir.
Yeah, sure. And I will be, it will be my pleasure to share my thoughts on the topic which you have just shared with me. It's important for the students as well. So I have seen that many of the students, many of the faculty members, they are actually very good in thinking new things. They innovate many things, but they either, end up in developing some of the prototypes, or they generally, end up their inventions in publishing at some research forum, publication forums like IEEE and all. I highly encourage those publications. But at the same time, I feel that those things are also eligible for patents. So why not filing the patents first? You can file a patent, and then you can also, publish your invention at different forums. You are free to do that. But
So,
why not file a patent? So,
actually, the thing is, I'm sorry I'm interrupting here,
sure,
but
sure.
you will agree with me, sir. I think there is no knowledge actually among the students, and I think among Indians as such. Now, it was very surprising to read a news article that haldi, turmeric, as an antiseptic, has been used in India since forever. Since the ancient times. But the patent of turmeric being an antiseptic, and has been granted to US. I'm sorry. So it was very surprising that something which we have been doing for years and years, that the patent belongs to US. So
Yes,
I think overall we Indians are actually not aware about the
exactly.
importance,
Exactly.
of the intellectual property rights and getting the patents.
You are
So
right.
in that way, I think the role of people like you who understand the topic, it becomes very crucial, because I'm still very sure, sir, that there are so many kids out here who have so many ideas, but they don't actually know that this idea can be tomorrow turn into a money minting business as well,
Right.
and that the money that will be made by somebody else, because you were not quick enough to file a patent and get it registered in your name.
And just to interrupt you, sir, it's not only about money making. If a student gets a really good patent, in that case, for his further education, that plays a very important role. Many of the international universities, have their specific attention on this thing also, because this adds a very credibility to their resume, to their profile. If you have a patent, if you are inventor, so that plays a very important role in different dimensions. You can gain money, you can gain recognition. It increases a very high value to your profile, and many doors of opportunities are open for you in the future. If you are applying for a job in any company in R&D division, then, and if you have multiple patents, or for example, if you have a single patent as well, then you yourself has proven yourself that I have a patent, I am eligible, I have already done a R&D, kind of R&D in my past. So that helps in getting a suitable job for that person. So in many aspects, owning a patent or owning the IPRs is very important.
Absolutely, sir. And here, I would like to bring one instance, out of my memory. It was when our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was giving a lecture in one of the IIT, I think IIT Kharagpur it was, and he actually mentioned that it is a shame that when we Indians have so much talent and so innovative minds, that we actually are not going and getting the number of patents or getting a number of innovations registered in their name. He expressed his kind of in a way he was telling that we have everything, we have the minds, we have the material. It's just the application and the knowledge that comes in the way. So you have been absolutely you absolutely enlightened us today, and I'm sure all of these students will take back this webinar. And I would like to congratulate Ayush and Naveen sir, because it's one of the best webinars that we have had, because we've been having webinars since lockdown, and it's one of the best webinars today that I have attended. And not for a second I was like away from it. So it was so enlightening. So my heartiest congratulations to Ayush and Naveen sir for again getting a guest of your stature, sir. Your mere presence has made us extremely proud, and knowing that you belong to MIT adds cherry to the cake. So thank you for coming, and thank you for spoiling your Sunday for us. I know it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday,
absolutely fine, sir. It's absolutely fine.
So we won't keep you for long. Thank you very much, sir. Stay safe.
Sure,
and keep coming back, sir. Keep coming back.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And I have written my email ID and the generic email ID of my company and the website of my company in the chat box. I think it is visible by everyone. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I am rewriting it if somehow it is not visible.
It's ankur.sharma@innocapture.com.
Yes, perfectly. This is the same email ID. If somebody does not have any questions right now, or if somebody thinks that I was not able to answer their questions in this particular session, I request them, please feel free to reach out to us on this email ID or the generic email ID, info@innocapture.com. We will be happy to help you in any way. So please feel free to reach out to us in case of any support required by us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Naveen sir. If you are here. Naveen sir is not here. Ayush, thanks a lot for bringing Ankur sir here. And again, Ankur sir, I can't help but say it. Your smile is so contagious. Keep smiling. It's like.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Extremely contagious. Thank you very much, sir.